Alright, so I believe I've come to a conclusion. After trying to dry out my gloves and that not really working too well, they're still absolutely. So my bike is just sitting there getting wet while I'm trying to take a break and wait for the storm. I think I'm gonna just get a hotel. This sucks. And I found a really cheap one, and with being a part of the American Motorcycle Association, the AMA, there's discounts at Red Roof Inns, and there's one in Grand Forks for like $47 a night, so it could go down to like 30 something. But then I'll be able to get everything dry and then just get out of the rain. I think that's gonna be the plan. Disappointing, yes. The rain is not stopping. I'm gonna check to see what it's gonna be like tomorrow, but from Grand Forks all the way over to Wisconsin, it's about 5.5 hours, so it's like half a day's ride. I don't really feel it, but I'm currently heading downhill into the Red River Valley. The Red River of the North, like the Nile, flows north. This river was crucial to the fur trade and Canada's economy. In the previous episodes in North Dakotan warfare, this river was a lifeline to the economies of central Canada and Minneapolis, Chicago, and onward toward the East Coast. Back in the 19th century, beaver fur pelts were one of the most valuable commodities. Beaver hats seen here were all the rage, both in street fashion and even in the military. To get your hands on it, the in vogue beaver pelt required quite a supply chain. The early Canadian economy was built on the beaver, so it's no surprise when you see this semi-aquatic rodent displayed as the Canadian symbol. The territory we're in right now, that holds this Red River, also wasn't originally a part of the US when independence was gained, nor was it a part of the Louisiana Purchase. We're going through our third American territorial acquisition, gained during the 1818 Compromise. If you remember from back in episode 27, we passed from the Louisiana Purchase into Oregon country. The Red River Valley we're in flows north to the Arctic Ocean by way of Hudson Bay. The Hudson Bay Company owned all of this land. The Hudson Bay Company was a commercial monopoly that functioned as the de facto government in much of North America for almost 2 centuries. Named Rupert's Land after the company's first governor and nephew of England's King Charles I at the time, it owned all the land up north and served as one of the only ways to live and make a living in much of Canada. The company's territory, de jure part of Great Britain, controlled all the rivers that flowed into the Hudson Bay, which included the Red River. In this upcoming Season 4, when I go into Canada, the Hudson Bay Company will be a huge part of the history there. This company built a lot of Canada's interior from the ground up. We'll be covering them a lot more later. In 1818, the US and Great Britain decided that the 49th parallel would be easier to survey than existing boundaries based on watersheds. When it was signed, Great Britain had its last permanent loss of territory in what is now the continental US, and the US gave up its only permanent significant cession of North American territory to a foreign power. The Red River Valley is a fertile valley that floods frequently because of how flat it is. The region is flat due to glaciers of the last ice age that flattened much of North America. Not only was this region flat, but it was also underwater. Geologists found evidence of a proglacial lake, a lake that was primarily fed by glacial melt. This was so large, its area covered more land than all of the current Great Lakes combined. It was called Lake Agassiz. Unfortunately for the inhabitants of the Red River Valley, if there's enough snowfall in any given year, they can expect the lake to try to make a comeback as the Red River rises and fills the valley around them. One of the major cities here in the valley, the third largest in North Dakota, behind Fargo and Bismarck, is Grand Forks. The city sits at the confluence of the Red River and the Red Lake River. The region was used by Native Americans for thousands of years as a trading post before the first European French fur traders named it Les Grands Fourches, also meaning Grand Forks. For hundreds of years, it served as a trading post for the fur trade. It was passed over to the United States in the Treaty of 1818, and several decades later, the Northern Pacific Railway turned the outpost into a full-fledged city. The University of North Dakota, the first in the state, was founded here in 1883, 6 years before North Dakota even became a state.
Might be a little wet.